Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to Elite Raceway. We apologize for that little delay. We had a couple of PlayStation issues, uh, but that has been resolved, and we are all here. 20 drivers on the grid, and we are excited for today. We are back here in the Interlagos circuit in Sao Paulo, Brazil, home of the legends, and definitely going to be seeing a lot of racing moments here. But we did have an absolutely amazing season opener on Saturday with our Tier 1 group, uh, our fastest tier group with limited assists permitted. And if you haven't yet, make sure to rewatch that race. It was streamed and commentated by our friendly Dutchman Game Boy. And yeah, we always appreciate the views and the likes. A little bit of feedback to know that you guys are enjoying all the racing. But anyways, as I mentioned, we are here with our tier 2 group, and boy, am I excited for this group. A lot of good contenders, I think. We have a lot of ERA rookies ready to make a statement, and a few coming back for this season who we have seen also improve uh, throughout seasons, some who just joined last season. But yeah, a lot of veterans, a lot of mix of experience here, I think. But anyways, regarding our group, we have all but one full-time driver on the track today. We have, I believe, reserving in the Ferrari. That is going to be MG Ziv. So unfortunately, Kyle's teammate Gambler not here today, but honestly, a really good turnout. 19 drivers, full-time drivers, one reserve, making a full grid today. Uh, so yeah, best of luck to all these drivers. Best of luck to some of these new drivers here. We did see a bit of pace in the preseason opener. So if you haven't seen that, make sure to catch a look as well. And yeah, I think we can already agree who some of the rivalries are going to be. I can already see Buddha and Kyle giving each other a bit of battle. Mahasne in that battle as well. But we do already have a few drivers starting out their race, and I do think, if I'm not mistaken, our Weatherman Guardians has mentioned it is going to be a dry race, it seems. And yeah, just keeping a look at the Discord just in case of anything. But yeah, looks like it's going to be a dry qualifying dry race. Cowboys for Life putting in the first lap a 109.5. Uh, Regarding the track, a classic track, 15 corners in total. We have 10 left-handers, 5 right-handers. Fastest lap in Tier 1 was placed by Demube, our Australian friend Demube. Put in a solid 117.2. That was in a wet qualifying session. And Buddha, who also races in Tier 2, but helps out a little bit with the Tier 1 grid as well, had put in a 118.9, but of course that is in a wet qualifying session. So we'll be seeing a lot more faster times here on the dry track. Kyle putting in a 108.7, really good time by Kyle. And looking at one of his competitors for this season, we have Mahasne about to cross the line. And it looks like he was on a banker lamp and is starting his now, but we'll be keeping an eye on him. We have a couple of movements happening. Buddha putting in a 109.3, who actually mentioned not his most confident track. However, of course, anything can happen. So we can be seeing a lot of climbs up the grid. But we do have Mahasne on his flying lap here in Sector 2. So both Mahasne and his brother, high RPM, great drivers. I do enjoy driving with them. I think I've driven with them for over a year now. And honestly, I love wheel-to-wheel racing with these guys. Fast drivers compared to me, but I've definitely slacked off a little bit this season. But Mahasne up 4 seconds, it seems, on his time. Obviously, that was a banker lap, last lap. But Mahasne here with a little bit of battery, enough to use, is going to put in a 108.6, stealing provisional pole from Kyle. So as I mentioned, Mahasne was going to be one of those competitions up there in the front. Looks like his brother in the McLaren high RPM putting in a 109.0. So top top three are actually in the 108s. Let's see who else. Room, who we are always well aware that he likes to start out his qualifying session with the mediums, give a little bit of a feel on the track. Let's see who else exists. Unfortunately, invalidating here. But we do have a couple of drivers who have yet to put in a time or still in the pits, it appears. But as we wait for a couple of drivers to start their hot laps, as I mentioned, Brazil with 15 corners. We do have two DRS zones, one on the Reta Aposta, which is the back straight after turn 3. Had to make my calculations right there on the little track map on the bottom right. Yep, after turn 3. And yeah, this is your second chance also to get the flap open after that corner, heading into the second back straight. So two DRS zones back to back. We'll be seeing a lot of overtaking opportunities in those sections of the track. Have a couple of drivers going back out. And oh mama Wembanyama, our French friend, who had a phenomenal pace about 2 seasons ago. Unfortunately, with his new game, I think he's been struggling a little bit. But preseason, he was showing a lot of pace. We'll be sticking around a little bit with him while he goes on to start his sector as we remain on board with Omama Shan. Here starting in Sector 1. Using all parts of the track, and now beginning into turn 1, the Senna S, a heavy downhill braking zone. Right after that, immediately we have the sweep into turn 2, the right-hand part of the complex, and look at him go. Oh, Mama Shan already putting a purple first sector, 500th on his time. Now it looks like we do have Mahasne up ahead, who is out on his outlap. Kyle as well, so we'll be taking a look at those two later on. But Omama Shan here in Sector 2. So this sector where there's a lot of fast sweeping corners and definitely a place where you got to keep the rhythm. But Omama Shan up by 9/10 now. Has plenty of battery to use here up on the straight. Is going to be getting that flap open, and we'll be taking a look at what time he's able to put in. So Omama Shan now putting in a 108.5, a 10th faster than Mahasne, who is currently in Sector 3, finishing up his outlap and starting soon. So taking a look at Mahasne. Kyle is actually right behind him as well on the track map. And so Mahasne in Sector 1 only up by 8 thousandths on his time. However, of course, there is still plenty of track left to make up even more time. But Mahasne, definitely a track where you got to make sure you keep the car off the grass. So Mahasne doing really well to keep it on the track. We have seen a couple of drivers in Tier 1 who were having a couple of spinning sessions. Honeyberg out of nowhere putting in a 108.4, a 10th faster than Omama Shan, but Mahasne, who appears to be up by 3/10, almost 4/10, has to have a really good launch here in this final sector. Has the DRS open and is going to cross the line to put in a 108.1. So Mahasne currently holding provisional pole, and looks like prior to that, Buddha was able to improve as well, putting himself into 4th. We do have Kyle, who appears to have invalidated his last lap, but may have possibly been just a banker lap, but Kyle starting his new lap now. And Kyle did mention that he is starting to learn with no racing lines, so has mentioned it has been a little bit difficult. However, he does still have an impeccable pace, in my opinion. So I think in no time he'll probably adjust to that really quickly and be dominating even further. But Kyle here in sector 2, oh, locking up and unfortunately turning the car sideways. And unfortunately, that is going to hurt his time. It does appear like he is going to back out of that. But so we do have higher PM who has just finished his lap with 4/10 of improvement, now up to 4th. And it looks like we're having a little bit of a glimpse of the teams and regarding the Constructors' Championship. So the McLarens, Honeyberger in 2nd, have higher PM in 4th at the moment, qualifying. Pushed down by Kyle, who even with that slip up, actually improved by 5/10. So there is still plenty of time of the qualifying session. So I think Kyle definitely has a lot of has a big chance of improving, considering he locked up and was still able to improve on that time. I won't talk too much about Kyle, considering he did tell me in the tier 2 chat to not commentators curse him. But unfortunately, I do enjoy it when something gets back at what I said. But and just a reminder to our drivers and to our viewers, we will be starting a new setting on this season regarding driver of the day. So feel free to share who you think has improved enough to be worthy of being a candidate for driver of the day. Honeyberger disqualified for blocking the pit lane, and that unfortunately that is going to drop him down to 20th, so to last. And unfortunately, Honeyberger, oof, that is such a tough. That's actually very horrendous for the game to do that to Honeyberger. So Honeyberger, who put in a really good qualifying session, unfortunately dropped down to last. No longer able to get out and to start a lap, but well, that is his chance to get driver of being candidate for driver of the day, I guess. That's the first challenge, I guess. But Buddha in sector 2 and appears to be up by a 10th. A little bit of grass on those tires, but still managing quite well. Going to use that little bit of battery, has a DRS open. And so Buddha crossing the line puts in a 108.5, so that does push him up to 2nd row. So 4 minutes up into the qualifying session, or remaining in the qualifying session. Plenty of time for the drivers to go out for another lap. To have Hafrenix, who I think appears to be on his banker lap. And I do want to see MG Ziv, who for a first race with us, I do believe he was possibly learning without the traction. I try to remember which which reserver it was. But MG Ziv doing really well to qualify at the moment in the top 10. Also doing well to allow all the drivers to get past. Oh, and we do have Kyle in the Ferrari currently on his outlap. So definitely looking forward to see what kind of time he's able to put in. We did see him lock up in one of the corners and somehow still managed to improve enough to get into front row of the qualifying into the race. And so Kyle now starting his lap. Actually, looks like he's going to be on another banker lap. So I guess just making sure to keep those tires warm. And with 2.5 minutes remaining, I guess saving up to doing the final laps. And it does seem like we have Cowboys for Life, who appears to be on his hot lap, currently in Sector 1, has improved. However, you never know where he could pick up that time. And I could see on the Discord, higher PM asking his teammate what in the world happened. So yeah, very unfortunate for the McLaren right there of Honeyberger. Does have a lot of work to do, considering it is a full lobby with 20 drivers. But Cowboys for Life up by 3/10. And with that, if he has a really good launch here, he can finish up in a much better position, currently holding P8. And Cowboys for Life getting into the top 5 for the qualifying session. So Cowboys for Life 108.5. We do have Kyle, who has now started his hot lap, has improved there in Sector 1, putting in a purple first sector. And here in Sector 2 was exactly where we saw him lock up. And oh, Kyle, unfortunately, taking a little bit too much of the curve and invalidating his lap. So, unfortunately, not going to be able to do anything there. We do have Mahasna, who has just started his, holding provisional pole. And we also have Buddha in the Williams, who is currently, actually has just started his hot lap as well, but keeping an eye on Mahasna, who has improved by a little bit here in Sector 1. Now heading into Sector 2. Does have a driver ahead of him, however, I don't think he is close enough to impede. But Mahasna keeping it nice and tight here in Sector 2. Catching a little bit of the smoke from the driver ahead of him, but Mahasna is still, ooh, and mowing the lawn just by a tad bit. And so Mahasna, unfortunately, not going to be able to do anything. We do have higher PM, who is currently holding 3rd for the qualifying session. And it does seem like he has backed out. It has backed out. We do have Buddha currently in 4th, and can he gain enough time to change his position? And so Buddha, unfortunately, not able to do anything. We do have Omama Shan right behind him, and Shan able to improve and move up a position, pushing Buddha down. So really close qualifying session, and out of nowhere, P Money in the V-Carb, putting himself in 3rd here in the 2nd row for the race. And so really close times, I think, from a grand majority of these drivers. And just keeping an eye on the Discord chat just to make sure we get our race control regarding readying up. And Honeyburger saying he he slid out coming through the pit lane exit, and it disqualified him. So yeah, so very unfortunate for Honeyburger. But as I mentioned, Brazil is such a fantastic track. Lots of overtaking opportunities. But anyways, regarding our start for the race, our grid, we have Mahasna starting on pole position with a 108.1, a phenomenal lap time by him. Sharing front row is Kyle. 3rd row, we have P Money, high RPM. Omama Shan in 5th. Buddha 6th. Cowboys for Life 7th. Oliver Monster 8th. Wilson Juez at ninth, Hafrenix 10th, MG 11th, Hulkenbrough 12th, and 13th we have Bozo, 14th Untitled, 15th Room, Exist in 16, Guardians in 17, Turbo in 18, Engel in 19th, and Honeyburger, who unfortunately disqualified, in 20th. So that is going to be our starting grid for the race. And as I mentioned, I'm pretty sure it is going to be a dry race, and looks like it is, just like our Weatherman Guardians mentioned. And just keeping a look at the Discord chat. Alrighty, so yep, a big reminder to all the drivers to not ready up. We do like to give the drivers a couple minutes to really finalize their setup, organize any strategies. So please, I beg you, don't ready up. But anyways, we did see a variety of strategy calls. Personally, I think a one stop is quite simple, medium to hards. We saw a grand majority of the tier one group do that. Um, but of course, every race is different. Tier one did not have any safety car. And of course, yeah, tire temps are different depending on the groups. DRS trains can also probably tempt drivers into a two stop. Um, and in tier one, I think we had a few drivers who actually went for the two stop. I think it was 3 or 4 drivers. Um, yeah, the mediums, you could take them to 15, 16 laps. Then, of course, switching over to the hards afterwards and taking them all the way to the end. The two stop strategy, the Mube had actually started on the medium hard hards. That was his strategy call. Then Baco actually went medium soft hards, and Rico Gracie going medium hard soft. So, so yeah, a lot of strategy calls from the drivers. Of course, all based on your pace, how confident you are with the tires, also the tire management. If you're a tire whisperer, whew, take those tires all the way. Alrighty, so I will be removing this in a couple seconds in case all the drivers want to switch over, because of course they know I share this briefly. Uh, Kyle possibly looking for a hard tire start. I think he did actually do that a couple seasons ago, if I'm not mistaken. Unfortunately, Brazil wasn't on the calendar last season. Was on it 2 seasons ago. I'm trying to remember who actually won it. But Hulkenbrough actually, who had joined the season learning no traction control. I always like to give him a little bit of a shout out. I think Brazil always brings back memories of him spinning around a little bit on the track, but has improved so much, and honestly looking forward to see even further more improvement. But they will be starting in a few seconds. tier the tier 2 chat always giving me a good laugh. Turbo doing a little bit of a Brazilian dance. Alrighty, so they do have the ready up now to start the race. I'm gonna take this down in case they want to change anything. Alrighty, so we have the timer going down. They are going to be having formation lap on. So contrary to what our divisions, the division settings, but we do have formation lap on for here. So I will be setting this up to see if there were any strategy changes. So it looks like Kyle did start on the hard compounds. We have a couple drivers who have Mamashan as well, Vroom, Guardians, and Turbo. So 5 drivers on the hard compounds, the rest starting on the mediums. And so Kyle definitely going to have a little bit of work to do for the race start, considering his tires are going to take a lot more longer to really adjust. So P Money and high RPM really going to have to use those medium tires to their advantage and try getting past Kyle. And as I always like to mention to the drivers, as I'm pretty sure a lot of them are well aware, and I always like to remind them, please be careful there into sector 1, turn 1. Opening lap is always the most chaotic considering everybody's so tightly bundled together. So yeah, please be sensible and please make sure to give each other the space. But it's like, oh, Mama Shan went a little bit into the grass right there. But alrighty, so we have the grid lining up. Alrighty, so will Mahasne be able to defend against Kyle? And can Kyle with the hard compounds defend against P-Money and high RPM entering turn 1? We are just waiting for a couple of the drivers to join up into the grid. Looks like they have. Alrighty, and so we have 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and off they go. And looks like Mahasne having a really good start. However, P-Money are actually already going for the move on Kyle. So a little bit of contact, it seems, there in the back, but Mahasne with a really solid start right there. P-Money trying to get that position. A little bit of contact between high RPM and Buddha in the back, it seems. So Buddha losing a position. We do have Oh Mama Shan who has gained that position from Buddha. And we do hear a little bit of contact happening in the back as well. Hafrenix seems to be having a little bit of bumper carts with a couple of drivers. Unfortunately, the two in the front of him switching around. But we do have a driver who seems to be... Ooh, and Hafrenix having to take avoiding action behind Wilson West. And looks like a bit of contact happening in the back as well. Hulkenbro, who appears to be ghosted. But in the front, it remains the same. So Mahasne, Kyle, and P-Money holding positions at the moment. We do have here in the back all the drivers remaining right behind each other. I don't think... looks like Vroom has actually dropped down 5 positions. MG down 8. And now we do have DRS enabled here on the next lap. And so looking up ahead, Kyle, who is now less than a second behind Mahasne. Mahasne with that phenomenal start. Not able to really grow enough gap, but enough it appears to defend against Kyle here. And oh Mama Shan locking up a bit there, and that is going to let the McLaren of higher RPM through as well as Buddha. So Buddha gaining that position from Oh Mama Shan's mistake as well. So the top 4 remaining how they started, and so we do have a couple of drivers closing in as well. Cabos for life over a second behind of Wilson Hue, so he has pushed them out of the DRS there. So now that we have seen those position changes, we do have in the front. So Kyle, who very wisely was able to defend his position there in the race start. And with those hard tires, I think he's in a really comfortable spot right there. P-Money over 2 seconds ahead of Buddha, and it appears that is yellow flags. Seems like that is Mahasne's teammate Eingel there in sector 3, who unfortunately having a little bit of a spin right there. But high RPM with the help of DRS getting past Buddha. And oh, looks like we do have the Aston Martin of Hafrenix, who is facing the other way, and they're on the straight and taking a little bit of this, a look of the shadow of the fans. So Hafrenix down, or losing multiple positions right there. So I am curious to know what happened, especially considering that was such a strange place for him to be facing the other way. But anyways, we do have the top three. Looks like Kyle trying to push P Money out of the DRS. Unfortunately, it looks like he's still going to have it, but Kyle still holding on into the back of Mahasne. It looks like we do have another yellow flags. That appears to be Honeyburger, who Honeyburger from from 20th, now currently in 14th. Lost a few positions, so that did mean he gained a lot more there. But Kyle now right on the back of Mahasne, does have the DRS, and looks like he's not going to be looking to make any move yet. And ooh, a little bit of bumping carts here between Higher PM and Buddha. So both of them trying to go side by side here. Buddha on the outside, able to get the move done. And we do have Oh Mama Shan, who's right behind them as well. Looks like we're seeing quite a number of yellow flags there from the back of the grid. So Bozo also losing a couple positions there, it seems. And looks like that is Hulkenbro as well in the Williams there in Sector 2. And so up ahead, Kyle currently on the hard compounds, Mahasne on the mediums. Kyle does have the DRS, does have a little bit of battery enough to use, but however, looks like he's going to save it for the next DRS straight. However, P Money doing really well to remain really close behind these two, but Kyle with a really great launch right there out of turn 3. Looks like he's able to make the move nice and easily there with the help of DRS. And so the top 3 with a little bit of a DRS pull, now extending that gap. P Money ahead of Buddha by over 3 seconds, almost 3.5 seconds. We do have a couple more yellow flags happening out there as well. Seems to be between Bozo and Honeyburger there. But Buddha being the first driver to pick up a penalty, picking up a 3-second penalty there. So we do have quite a small DRS train here between Buddha all the way down to Oliver Monster. But Omar Shan with that straight line speed, is he going to be able to get the attack done? Higher PM trying to defend the inside there. So Omar Shan not able to do anything yet. However, he does have the next upcoming DRS straight. But Higher PM does have it from Buddha, but looks like it's not going to be enough. Higher PM trying to defend that position, unfortunately not able to. And Oh Mama Shan going wide again on the same corner there in turn 4. So it looks like that corner is giving him a little bit of trouble there to really get that entrance right, but Higher PM gaining that position up to P5 now. And regarding the position changes, we do have a couple position changes happening in the front as well. P Money getting the move done on Mahasne. And with these two battling, it does seem like Buddha is closing in a little bit as well, but Mahasne is going to get the DRS off of P Money and looks like he's able to get the pass done nice and easily. Kyle doing really well to extend that gap. Really using those hard compounds to his advantage, but taking a look back here, Higher PM right on the back of Buddha, who does have that 3-second penalty. So no movement yet. However, we do have Vroom, who does seem to be having a little bit of a battle here between JT Turbo. Is going to have the DRS here. Turbo trying to defend, unfortunately not able to do much there, but Vroom gaining a position into P14 now. Looks like Higher PM still having a little bit of a battle between Oh Mama Sha and Honeyburger now picking up a 3-second penalty. But Higher PM losing 2 positions there from Oh Mama Sha and Cowboys for Life. Cowboys for Life now closing in on the Alpine. And it does look like the top 3 have broken the DRS between each other. Buddha has now closed in a little bit more into P Money. Looks like Oliver Monster trying to look for the gap to get the move done on Higher PM. Unfortunately, not able to do anything there yet. But Cowboys for Life still hounding Oh Mama Shan there. But Kyle doing a really great job maintaining that gap over 2 seconds ahead of Mahasna there. And we do have a yellow flag that appears to be Bozo, who they're in Sector 1 in the Senna S's. So yeah, so plenty of DRS trains, and oh, that is Cowboys for Life losing the car there. And did he pick up any damage? It does look like he's missing his left end plate. If EA could give me the broadcast view, there we go. So left end plate damage, and Hulkenbro at the same time picking up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. We did see a number of those penalties in Tier 1, so as a reminder to the drivers, as Game Boy said, be fast on the track, don't be fast in the pit lane. But with Cowboys for Life now out of the battle, we do have Oliver Monster, Higher PM, and Oh Mama Sha now. And looks like we do have another driver picking up a 3-second penalty. That is the Haas of Eingel. And that is Oh Mama Sha, who has gone wide and into the grass and losing 2 positions there. So it looks like Brazil is catching a few victims here on this on this race day. My goodness. Ay, ay, ay. And so Oliver Monster, ooh, looks like that might have been a little bit of rear contact between the 2 drivers. And not exactly sure if Higher PM locked up prior to that. But yeah, very unfortunate between these 2. But Higher PM actually still remaining, not really losing out so much, but yeah, very unfortunate for him. But let's see, we do have a couple of drivers pitting. That is Cowboys for Life, most likely looking to change that wing. Which is a wise choice, because you don't want to go through this track with wing damage, especially in Sector 2. So we have a few drivers who are still within less than a second for the DRS. So Untitled right on the back of Guardians. Looking at the position changes, Guardians actually up 8 positions. So really good job by Guardians there. Untitled up 4 positions. Honeyburger up 8 positions after having been disqualified from the qualifying session. Let's see, we do have the V-Carb of Untitled, who does have the battery, does have the DRS, has the flap open, and able to get that move done nice and easily right before turn 1. However, Guardians is going to have the DRS here on the next upcoming straight. And looks like does have a really good launch right there, and so Guardians trying to get that position back. So both of them doing a little bit of a switch around. So we do have another yellow flags. That appears to be Bozo in Sector 3. And looking at the gap ahead, Mahasna actually closing a little bit more into or towards Kyle, who did have a comfortable gap of over 2 seconds. So curious to know what Kyle's strategy call is going to be. He is starting on the hard compounds. And as we mentioned earlier, in Tier 1, we did have those medium runners pitting in lap 15 or 16, depending on how those tires are feeling. But Untitled looking to make the move again. Going for the same exact move. And can Guardians go for the attack once more? Does look like Untitled has had a really good launch there out of the Senna S's. And so Untitled remaining ahead of the Alpine. We have a couple of yellow flags. That appears to be Angel. Sector 2 letting the leaders pass, while also having a little bit of a spin. And I was keeping an eye between the gap on that P Money had on Buddha. So P Money must have had some kind of mistake, considering he was less than a second behind of the Williams. Unfortunately, dropping back to over 2.5 seconds behind them. Ooh, Oliver Monster taking a little bit too much of that corner, and looks like he's going to drop back a little bit from Omama Shan. But the McLaren of Honeyburger looking to make some money moves. So up to top 10 now. Untitled has decided to pit. Untitled picking up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane now. like I mentioned, go fast on the track, not on the pit lane, as Game Boy said. Jeez. Oh, Hulkenberg now picking up a 3-second penalty. So looking at the total of penalties. So Buddha holding 3 seconds of penalties has managed to push out P Money from that, over 3.5 seconds ahead of the V-Carb. We do have Honeyburger with the 3 seconds, still in a comfortable gap ahead of the driver behind him. Hulkenberg with 13 seconds, does have Turbo right behind him. Exist could possibly be having a position gain at the end if it remains this close. Untitled with the 10 seconds, and Angel with 3 seconds. So we do still have the top 11 drivers who have yet to pit. Looks like we have had the majority of the gaps open up there. Alrighty, so looks like a grand majority of the gaps have now opened up. Looks like once we have a few of the drivers pit, we'll be seeing a little bit more battles there. And speaking of gaps, we do have Omar Shah now closing in on the back of P Money. P Money on those mediums. Omar Shah having started on the hard tires. And so the Alpine of Shah definitely on a better tire advantage here. And Oliver Monster does have them in his view. However, it doesn't look like he's going to be close enough to get the DRS now into the main straight here. But Omar Mashan having to have a really good exit here. Will he be close enough to make a move? And he is closing in, does have the DRS, however, not enough to make a move yet into turn 1. However, closing in plenty to get the attack on this next upcoming DRS straight. Has to have a really good launch here on the exit and getting the slipstream from the driver ahead of him. P-Money trying to defend that inside line, but just getting out the way. Mama Shan having to make sure not to lock up here once again, doing really well to remain ahead of P-Money. So Mama Shan really using those tires to his advantage. He does have Buddha in front of him on those 15-lap-old mediums. And also with those 3 seconds. So Mama Shan can try looking for a for advantage here. Looks like P-Money might be struggling a little bit with those tires. And we do have Buddha, who has pulled the trigger up in the front row, now choosing to pit. And so getting rid of those mediums. It looks like P-Money as well. So both of them opting for the fresh set of hard tires now. Most likely going to be taking those tires all the way to the end. And looking to see where they're going to come out. We do have the Alpine of Guardians and the McLaren of higher PM coming out right, as you can see right there on the background. However, looks like P-Money able to get out the pit lane in front of them. Ooh, it looks like a little bit of ghosting here between Hulkenberg and Cowboys for Life. Not exactly sure what's happening here, unless one of them is having a bit of connectivity issues. But Exist now picking up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So that's 3 drivers who haven't been able to slow down. 5 drivers now. Mahasne picking up a 10-second penalty, and that is going to hurt him for this race. Wow. Mahasne. Man, it looks like all the penalties are just raining down. So very unfortunate for Mahasna there. Looks like we do have Oliver Monster who has chosen to pit. So, oh, Wilson West now having a really bad exit there, and unfortunately into the wall. Did he pick up? Did pick up damage? So missing his right end plate. And now it does have the V-carb of P-Money right behind him. So Wilson West with those 17-lap-old mediums losing the car there into the S's, the Senna S's. And so P-Money going to have to be really cautious right behind the car right in front of him. Wilson West being demonstrating really good sportsmanship, does know he's going to be really slow into Sector 2 there. And so getting out the way of P-Money, especially with those old tires. It does seem like we have the battle between Cowboys for Life and Hulkenberg still continuing. Cowboys for Life, who unfortunately had to pit early, considering. Actually, no. Looks like he didn't fix the wing damage. So Cowboys for Life choosing to stick with that wing damage, unless that's another incident that happened that we weren't able to see. But Cowboys for Life is going to have the speed for the DRS straight here. And so it looks like he's going to get the position from Cowboys for Life, gaining another position due to Wilson West pitting. And oh my, I keep my eye off of them for a second, and unfortunately it all goes into chaos. Cowboys for Life having a spin there down turn 1, trying to get that car straight. And so Cowboys for Life really having a very tough race there. Is now missing both his end plates. So that is going to be a really unfortunate race for him there. We do have up in the front, or with the mid-pack, MG Ziv right on the back of Wilson West, who I don't think was able to, did pit by wondering if he fixed his, yeah, still missing his right end plate there. And so Honeyburger, who had started in last, now trying to get that move done on Vroom. So Honeyburger on the inside, able to get the pass done and take the position from Vroom. However, Vroom is going to have the DRS, but does have 19 lap old hard tires compared to Honeyburger's 6 lap old. So unfortunately, not able to make a move or make an attack to regain that position. And so Honeyburger doing a really phenomenal job, having started on at last. Now currently holding the top 10. So I would say he's probably one of a candidate for driver of the day, in my opinion. Ooh, Vroom going a little bit wide right there, and so the Ferrari of MG Ziv getting right through. Vroom is going to have the DRS, however, is going to be entering the pit lane. As we mentioned, he did have those 19 lap old hard tires, so not able to really defend much from those drivers behind him. The closest battle we have currently is between Wilson West in the Aston Martin and MG Ziv in the Ferrari. So as we mentioned, West does have that missing right end plate. Looks like we have a few yellow flags in Sector 3. Appears to be the V-carb of Bozo. And so looking up in the front, so Kyle and Omama Shan now choosing to pit. Mahazne, who had pit earlier, does have that 10-second penalty. Buddha with the 3 seconds. And so Kyle on the fresh set of mediums, Omama Shan as well. Curious to know how far back Kyle is going to be coming out of the pits. And looks like about less than a second. He's going to be right behind the Buddha. And no, Kyle now pick up a 3-second penalty. So fair game between Buddha and Kyle. However, Kyle does have a much faster tire here, and that appears to be the ghosted car of. So that's going to be JT Turbo, who's getting lapped. And so we will be keeping an eye on those gaps that Kyle and Omama Shan have from the drivers ahead of him. But Kyle remaining close right behind the Buddha, does have the DRS, not looking to make a move yet. But it is going to have a really good launch here on the exit of turn 3. And getting the move done on Buddha. So Kyle now moving up to second. And so Kyle, who's currently over 5 seconds behind Mahazne, who's currently holding 10 seconds of penalties. And we do have Omama Shan in the Alpine closing in on high RPM as well. So the medium is definitely the fastest tire at the moment for these two. However, as we've seen before in the preseason races, definitely have to make sure not to really go overboard with them. We did see, for example, with DRS Maestro in Division 2, went for the reverse strategy and had really great pace, but unfortunately just overcooking those tires and losing it. Kyle picking up the fastest lap, a 1:10.2. And for those who aren't aware, that you do get an extra 2 points for the fastest lap, considering we do have our point system that goes from P1 all the way to last. So as long as you finish and cross the line, you will be getting points. But looking right here on board with Omar Shad, who's right on the back of the McLaren of Higher PM, does have the flap open, looking to get the move done. And so Higher PM getting overtaken by the Alpine of Omar Shad. Looks like Sean adjusting to turn 4 right there, doing really well to take that. We do have another driver who has picked up a penalty that is Exist, picking up a 3-second penalty now. And so looking at the gap to the leaders, so P-Money 13 seconds behind of Mahazna, who, as we'll be mentioning, does have that 10-second penalty. So P-Money pick up the pace a little bit. He could probably get a podium finish here, but looking forward to see how the end of this race is going to turn out. We do have Oliver Monster, who is still falling right behind a P-Money, getting past the lap car, or a few lap cars actually. It looks like that is Cowboys for Life and Turbo. P-Money a little bit wiggly right there, and so Oliver Monster putting in a little bit of pressure on the V-carb there. Looks like we have a couple of the lapped drivers getting out the way of the leaders there. So we do appreciate, even with ghosting enabled, as we mentioned before, we do have a couple of drivers who race in cockpit mode. So it is really helpful when you get off the racing line, especially if, even though it is ghosting enabled. But anyways, Oliver Monster still putting in some pressure on P-Money. Is going to be having the DRS on this next upcoming straight. Doesn't look like he's going to be close enough to make a move yet. However, still doing really well to remain close behind him. We do have yellow flags. That appears to be the Aston Martin of Hafrenix, it seems. Actually, looks like it might have actually been Wilson West, who, as we've seen, did have the end plate damage. And so less than 10 laps remaining, and we have seen a grand majority of position changes. Honeyburger still up 10 positions. Hulkenbro up 4 positions. So I don't want to jinx him, but Hulkenbro doing a really phenomenal job in Brazil. This is... we have to do a little bit of a comparison from season... I think it was season 3 Hulkenbro to season 6 Hulkenbro. But anyways, Oliver Monster still remaining close behind of the V-Carb. May actually just be using P-Money to kind of pull him with the DRS, but looks like he has closed in plenty enough. However, Sector 2, not really the area to where you will see overtakes. However, you never know, anything can happen. And so Oliver Monster doing really well, being really patient right behind of the driver ahead of him. And it does appear to be the left car of Angel in the Haas. Yeah, I did see that gap closing, however, it looks like not able to make a move. MG was on Hulkenbro. And so looking back on the interval from the leader, so Mahazan with the 10 seconds, as we mentioned before, P-Money has actually dropped back quite a bit. So now 15 over 15 seconds behind Mahasne, so it doesn't look like, well, of course, as I mentioned, anything happened, but it doesn't look like P-Money can try securing that podium finish. But Oliver Monster just really enjoying the the rear view of P-Money there. So we do have MG Ziv, who has gotten the overtake done on Hulkenberg, who has chosen to pit now. So Hulkenberg, who was on the 19-lap-old hard tires, now switching over to... We'll be seeing that in a few seconds. Curious to know if he's going to go for the softs, considering it's less than 10 laps remaining. Try going for a fastest lap. But no, Hulkenberg going over for the mediums. And Eingel now picking up a 3-second penalty there. And so with that, Honeyberger has actually gained another position. So that's 11 position gains for Honeyberger there. And oh, it looks like that was the Haas of Eingel still struggling a little bit. And unfortunately going into the barrier right there. We do have Honeyberger who might be looking for another attack. And it does actually seem like Honeyberger is missing his left end plate. So curious to know how long he's been running with that. But Honeyberger's right on the back of MG Ziv, not close enough to make a move yet. And up ahead, Oliver Munster, who was right on the back of P-Money, unfortunately now picking up a 3-second penalty there. It looks like P-Money has broken the gap ahead of Oliver Munster. So Oliver Munster now over a second behind, does now have Omar Mashan right behind him on his tail. It looks like the top three just really cruising. As I mentioned, those top three I think are going to be our main contestants for the championship battle heading into the season. I can't possibly see Omar Mashan joining in as well, high RPM as well, but high RPM now pick up a 3-second penalty. And Omar Mashan doing a really good job to get the move done on Oliver Munster there. And now Exist picking up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that was the second one. Already has 23 seconds now in total for penalties. So we do have less than 6 laps remaining. Oh, P-Money struggling a little bit right there, taking a little bit too much of the curve. Does have 13-lap-old hard tires and does have Omar Mashan right behind him on 8-lap-old mediums. So Omar Mashan closing that gap lap after lap. Is going to have the DRS, does have a little bit of battery to use there. So can he make the move here right before turn 4? And looks like trying to get that move, is able to make a stick going there on the inside. And Omar Mashan now moving himself up into 4th. So Omar Mashan doing a really good job to gain those 2 positions, getting past both P-Money and Oliver Monster. So demonstrating a lot of patience right there. We do have looks like Honeyberger closing in on the back of the Ferrari of MG Ziv. However, Honeyberger does have that 3-second penalty. So MG Ziv in a really good position here for his debut race. Definitely have to say big congratulations to him. I don't want to jinx him yet, but has demonstrated some good racing today, and nice to see some good results. And ooh, looks like Guardians has left the session, and might have to try sending him another invite to join back. know too many people. Such a long list of VA friends. Jeez. But hopefully Guardians is able to join back into the session. He is currently holding 11th. Does have a really good, comfortable gap from Hulkman Bros. We're 16 seconds of a gap. But anyways, Honeyburger looking to make the move on the inside of MG. And is he going to make the move stick? He does have that missing left end plate. And so Honeyburger doing really well to get that move done. And nice to see Guardians is able to join back. Unfortunately, it looks like the AI of Guardians choosing to pit. I was for a second I was like, how the heck did he get that 17 seconds? So Guardians now pitting his AI. Ay ay ay. But anyways, the battle between Omama-shan and P Money still going back and forth. Looks like Omama-shan regaining that position from the V-Carb. Do have less than 3 laps remaining, and looks like our top 3, Mahazne might be losing a few positions there, but Buddha hanging on within that 10-second penalty gap of Mahazne. So anything could happen on these last final laps. Any mistake can cost Buddha. Omama-shan a little bit wiggly right there on the exit, but still remaining ahead of P Money. Oh, and it looks like we do have MG Ziv losing a couple positions there as well. Alrighty, so the battle between P Money and Omama-shan still going at it. P Money looks like had gotten the overtake done on the main straight. Omama-shan looking to get that position back with the next DRS. So if it remains this close, looks like it is going to be a battle to the finish line. However, it does seem like Omama-shan having a little bit of pace right there, trying to extend that gap ahead of the V-Carb. We are getting a couple of yellow flags. I saw the one before, I believe was from Bozo. This one coming from Sector 3 with Eingel, the Haas there on the sideline. But P Money possibly looking for another attack. Both of them trying to save up that battery. Omama-shan using a little bit more, but see if the straight line speed can help him to defend. So P Money remaining right behind Omama-shan there. Has to have a good exit here to get the advantage on the Alpine. And so P Money with plenty of battery to use, has the DRS open. Looks like he's going to be taking a seat back, possibly waiting for the final lap. And looks like we're going to be having 2 battles towards the finish line. So we'll be keeping an eye on Omama-shan and P Money, as well as Oliver Monster and High RPM. Cowboys for Life picking up a 10-second penalty for cutting the corner there. JT Turbo picking up a 3-second penalty at the same time as well. And so we'll be keeping an eye on these 2 drivers. Cowboys for Life seems to have dropped back a couple positions there, but P Money trying to save up that battery. Both of them with no penalties at the moment. And can P Money close in a bit to get the overtake done on the next DRS straight? He does have that battery, as we can see. Staying really close behind of Omama-shan there. Has to have a good exit here. And of course, if this move doesn't happen, he does have the final DRS straight into the finish line. Looks like High RPM as well, closing in on... Sorry, Oliver Monster closing in on High RPM. That does appear to be the V-Car, possibly of Untitled, but... we do have up in the front Mahasne. Mahasne right there on the exit of the final corner there, crossing the line, is going to get the win. However, Kyle, less than 10 seconds behind, gets the win from Mahasne. Buddha, who I don't think is going to have enough to get past Mahasne, looks like he's going to secure a P3. P-Money not able to get the exit here on the final corner to close in and get the move done on Omamashan. So Omamashan in fourth. Looking behind, can the Kicksauber of Oliver Monster get the move done on higher PM on the line? Unfortunately, not close enough to make a move there, but we'll say phenomenal pace from a lot of these drivers. We do have Wilson Juez, who's right behind of Honeyburger. However, Juez does have that 3-second penalty, does have that missing right end play, so it looks like he's not going to be able to get the move done. Sorry, not the move done. Close the gap behind of Honeyburger. And so looks like that is going to be our season, our round 1 of season 6 results. Honestly, a really good race by a lot of these drivers. Cowboys for Life DNF, however, I do think he crossed the line entering the pit lane. Have to double check that afterwards. Alrighty, but phenomenal race by these guys. Lots of pace, lots of rivalries we'll be seeing. I think especially between Higher PM and Oliver Monster, that battle kept on going. Yeah, definitely a lot of midfield battles. But big congratulations to Kyle for getting the first win of the season here in round 1 of Sao Paulo Interlagos, Brazil. Driver of the day for the game, Honeyburger, which honestly I think is quite accurate. I probably put him in my my votes or candidates for the votes. But anyways, going over the final grid, we do have Kyle for the win, also picking up an extra 2 points for the fastest lap, a 110.2. Sharing the podium, we have Mahasne in second and Buddha with third. Mahasne, really good performance by him, even with the 10-second penalty, really able to secure a podium finish. From P4 all the way to the end, we have Omamashan fourth, P-Money in fifth, Higher PM sixth, Oliver Monster in seventh, MG Ziv eighth, Honeyburger ninth, Wilson Juez 10th. That's our top 10. Hulkenbro in 11th, Guardians 12th, Vroom 13, Untitled 14, Hafernix 15, Bozo 16, Turbo 17, Cowboys for Life 18, Exist 19, and Eingel 20th. And I have to say, I do enjoy it when we see all the drivers finish the race. Better than seeing, races where half the grid is DNF'd or retired. But anyways, really, really good race by these drivers. Looking forward to the rest of the season. We'll be having round 2 in Austria next week, so stay tuned for that. We do have our No Assist Division 1 group starting in about an hour and 5 minutes, so make sure you stay tuned for that race. Definitely a talented group of drivers racing No Assist, so make sure you catch that. But anyways, really good job to these drivers. Big congratulations to our podium finishers. And yeah, we're looking forward to the next race, so make sure you like and subscribe. That way you could get the notifications when we're live. And if you're interested in racing with us, well, our link to our Discord server is in our YouTube description. So have a good night, good evening, good morning, wherever you guys are watching from, and we'll catch you in the next race.